And one September in the year 2017, a group of students and myself and some parents, along with Carrie and Columbus Charles, had the absolute pleasure of making a trip to St. Anne's Veterans Hospital to meet and mingle with all the residents there, to participate in the devotion to duty ceremony, which was a highlight of my career, and my chance to meet the man and the legend that we're here to celebrate today, Wolf William Solkin, retired lieutenant. Honor never grows old, and honor rejoices the heart of age. It does so because honor is finally about defending those noble and worthy things that deserve defending, even if it comes at a high cost. In our time, that may mean social disapproval, public scorn, hardship, persecution, or as always, even death itself. The question remains, what is worth defending? What is worth dying for? What is worth living for? William J. Bennett, former United States Secretary of Education and author, in a lecture to the United States Naval Academy. I had the privilege, as I had mentioned, of meeting Wolf in person on a school trip. And to me, he was always indeed the poster boy for character in action. When I was a principal with the school board, we had a Character Always initiative based on 10 virtues. They included caring, courage, fairness, generosity, honesty, empathy, responsibility, perseverance, respect, and resilience. And it is my humble opinion that Wolf epitomized these character virtues in spades. And if I wasn't retired, I would have always referenced him as a role model for character education for our next generation. I have him in the same company I hold Terry Fox. And if you think about selfless human behavior for betterment of a cause far bigger than yourself, Wolf's name would always come to mind and be a tremendous example, a Canadian hero that we could always reference. In Wolf, we had a human being who deeply cared for his family, friends, fellow veterans, and the underdog. He displayed the same courage in his retirement years as he did on the battlefield, as evidenced by his unstoppable advocacy for veterans' rights and their dignity. His initiative to create the St. Anne's Veteran Committee would have been deeply rooted in protecting patient rights in the interests of fairness and upholding their dignity. His successful class action lawsuit against the federal and provincial government will be a legacy item that speaks volumes about his devotion to the cause. His generosity with his time and energy and empathy he harbored for his fellow patients and their families during those turbulent years following the transfer of operations to the Quebec government from the government of Canada. His perseverance, his resilience in the midst of the unyielding love and support from his wife, Luke, his children, grandchildren, and friends paved the way for the much-needed energy and resolve to fight two bureaucratic establishments over the years. And when I mention family, I mention that with so much honor, because I know behind every single champion, there's a cheerleading squad. And on those very, very dark days, when there's no wind in your sail, it's that gift of family and close friends who give you that courage and energy to forge on, even when the body gets tired and hopelessness sometimes can start to overcome you. He, with no assurances guaranteed for the outcome of this lawsuit, always forged ahead in fairness, in conviction, and responsibility. Wolf was a sheepdog. He lived to protect the flock and confront the wolf. And I found a poem that I'd like to share. It's untitled, and I did not see an author, but it goes like this. I am a tired old sheepdog, the guardian of my flock. I keep the predators at bay and stand watch around the clock. Please stop the sheep from pulling my teeth, as I'll need them for the fight when the hungry wolves come calling some dark and deadly night. Heaven holds a special place for those who do the deed, defenders of the innocent in their hour of need. May the sheep be someday grateful, as there is a debt they cannot repay to the sheepdog, who lay it on the line each and every day. I am proud to be a sheepdog. I've done my very best. I'll stand my watch until my maker calls me home to rest. But when I meet St. Peter, there's just one request I'll make. Please let me spend eternity standing guard at heaven's gate. And the famous poet Ralph Waldo Emerson says, what goes on around you compares little with what goes on inside you.
97-year-old Lieutenant Retired William Solkin is a World War II veteran who helped liberate the Netherlands in 1945. Today, he is still fighting, only now it's for the rights of fellow Canadian veterans. As president of the Veterans Committee at St. Anne's Hospital, where he is a resident, Wolf is a staunch advocate for the approximately 100 veterans who call the hospital home. He is especially attuned to the quality of care he and his fellow veterans receive at St. Anne's. Unsatisfied with what he saw as a drastic deterioration in services at the hospital since its transfer from the federal to provincial government in 2016, Wolf filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of more than 150 veterans and their families. Recently, he launched a letter-writing campaign lobbying for stronger measures to protect the most vulnerable residents during the 2019 pandemic. He has even planted the idea of currently serving military personnel visiting the residents to raise spirits and lift morale. He has made a multitude of positive changes to veterans care at St. Anne's Hospital. Wolf supports a number of causes important to young veterans as well. For example, he raises awareness of the Canadian Walk for Veterans, the Liberation 75 Tulip, and the health impacts of methadone. In addition to his advocacy work, Wolf is the editor-in-chief of a bilingual newsletter enjoyed by the hospital's residents, staff, volunteer, and family members. I'm going to play a video of Lieutenant General Retired Michel Mesnev, who nominated Wolf for this commendation.
Well, I came to know Wolf when he was at the St. Anne's Hospital, where he is currently. But William Solkin is a leader. He is a man of action, definitely. He is someone who advocated for the veterans and continues to advocate for the veterans. His heart is. Well, I came to know Wolf when he was at the St. Anne's Hospital, where he is currently. But William Solkin is a leader. He is a man of action, definitely. He is someone who advocated for the veterans and continues to advocate for the veterans. His heart is bigger than any campaign he's ever waged. Wolf has had an incredible impact on hundreds of veterans, not only those who reside at the hospital, young veterans, older veterans. With his social media approach, he's been able to influence and advocate for hundreds of veterans across the country. William Solkin is one of these folks who is extremely clever, he's funny, penchant for prose is particularly potent. Wolf, my friend, I want to congratulate you for your outstanding advocacy for our veterans and congratulate you on getting the commendation. Congratulations. Félicitations, mon ami.
Wolf's 90. I know I'm going to cry, so I don't know we're done with. Wolf's 97-year-old dash was beyond remarkable. He passed away on February 3rd, 2021 at St. Anne's Hospital at the age of 97 years old. He has been called a war hero, and he placed a great deal of importance on intergenerational discussions so that younger generations would remember and understand the extent of the sacrifices made by our heroes in times of war and conflict. During his years at St. Anne's Hospital, he was able to convince countless people of our collective duty to never forget and of the importance of respecting veterans, many of whom lost their lives on the battlefields. As one of the co-founders of the Veterans Voice newsletter, he sought to educate people on a wide range of subjects, which he did masterfully through his writing. Wolf has written down on his Facebook that one of his favorite quotes is, "If not me, who? If not now, when?" I'm just gonna get emotional because I look around and I love connecting people. I love when people were coming in today and I was like, do you guys all know each other? How do you know each other? And I met Wolf in 2017 when I was doing a cross-Canada tour, thanking veterans in retirement homes and nursing homes across the country. And that is when I met Blue. So when I think of Wolf, I think of Blue and Wolf because we spent so many times together. We have so many photos together. And I know that Wolf was as great of a man because he had you by his side. And I know that you're as great of a woman because you have your daughter. So I know that when one member of the family serves, the entire family serves. And I love bringing veterans up to see Wolf. And I love when veterans, Jill and Mike, go up to see him. And I get to see that on the power of social media. And I met Ted there. And Ted and I have had a wonderful relationship. And one of my greatest memories of Wolf is because of Ted. Ted gave me a call last year in the pandemic. And he said, I don't think Wolf's doing very good. And, you know, the social isolation. And so I said, oh, I'll run up. And I got in the vehicle and I called Brian. Brian had met Wolf numerous of times and he chatted with him all the time. And I just loved Wolf's eyes when they lit up when he saw Brian. You know, Brian serves in the Canadian Armed Forces and they had this bond and this brotherhood bond. And I said, hey Brian, do you want to come up with me to St. Anne's? And then he said, yeah, I'll get in. And then I was driving and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the pandemic. We're in the pandemic. I don't even know if they'll let us in. And I think on Seinfeld, they say yada yada yada, yada yada yada. We get in, and we had this wonderful, beautiful moment with Wolf, and that was the last time Brian and I saw him. And we talked to him many times after that. But I have a video where he says, at the very end of our visit, I love you. And I'd like to share that with people. And he was so like he just made you feel special, and he was special himself. And he was so special. And so we just wanted to take the time to honor him, to pay our respects to you, to gather as the veteran community. People have come from Cornwall, Ottawa, Quebec yourselves, Toronto, Kingston, and Trenton. And because if you didn't know Wolf, you knew of Wolf. And he was such an advocate. And I just loved spending time with him. And I loved our devotion to duty ceremony that Karen spoke of earlier. And whenever I brought my children to see him, or the kids were at that devotion to duty ceremony, his eyes just lit up. And I think it's because, you know, the veterans just, Canadian Force members, they fight for the next generation. They fight for the freedom of living in the best country in the world. And so Brian and I have talked a lot about our grief and missing Wolf. And every time I say I miss Wolf, like, I miss him that he's not here. And I miss him for you, because I know how much you love him. So the grief is that much. So Brian and I started talking. So Brian and I were talking. A lot of us in this room, I think a majority of us in this room, have cleaned the Highway of Heroes in memory of all that gave some, and some that gave all. And Wolf gave so much in his 97 years, and I wish he was still here to give a little bit more. And so Brian and I were talking, and Brian adopted Highway 15 in honor of Wolf. And so the sign's not up yet, but this is exactly what the sign is going to look like. And the veteran community can gather 2-3 times a year and to remember Wolf and to talk about Wolf and to talk about those sacrifices, just as he talked about those sacrifices, just as he educated the next generation of what it takes to live in a free country, what it takes to live in the best country in the world. And so that's why we're gathering here today, is to remember him and to talk with him, and hopefully we can gather again next year for the celebration of life. But until then, I want to thank everybody for coming near and far, those that knew him, those that loved him, those that will continue to love him and love his legacy. Sunny, thank you so much for offering us this space, this community-centered space. So thank you, and thank you everybody for traveling. I think it's Franco. You're up.
First, Jill, thank you so much for introducing me. April of 2018, Wolf posted a picture of his comrade, Lieutenant William Bill Edward O'Donnell, and wrote, April 10th, 2018 marks the 73rd anniversary of the death of Lieutenant William Bill Edward O'Donnell, 33, of Montreal, Quebec. of the Algonquin Regiment, killed in action by enemy sniper fire in Germany during our efforts in World War II. No greater friend hath any man. Edward Welch commented on that post and wrote, I will be at his, Bill O'Donnell's, grave about 3 a.m. your time on Saturday. Wolf, 19 Celsius, partly cloudy, the current forecast, just perfect. It's always when I am in a cemetery because God parts the skies for me if there's any doubt. Expect a photo update by mid-afternoon and a video shortly thereafter. Rest in peace, Bill. Wolf responded, I am and will forever be deeply grateful to you, Ted, for all you will have done for me and my forever friend. Vraiment in bon action. Wolf was seen more times than not with a picture of it in his lap of his forever friend, his comrade, his battle buddy, that is buried in the Hope Canadian War Cemetery in the Netherlands. The Netherlands fell to the Germans in May 1940 and was not re-entered by Allied forces until September 1944. The great majority of those buried in the Hope Canadian War Cemetery died during the last stages of the war in Holland, during the advance of the Canadian Second Corps into northern Germany, and across the Ems in April and the first days of May 1945. After the end of the hostilities, the remains of over 1,300 Canadian soldiers were brought together into this cemetery. Their names liveth forevermore. On my way here, I left Regina Wednesday morning, or left Edmonton Wednesday morning, left Regina Thursday. But I slept on Thursday night. I slept at Terry Fox's monument in Thunder Bay, right where the Algonquin Regiment has their stores or their kit shop or whatever. But I slept there amongst giants like Terry Fox to come to another giant. Right. I first met him in 2019 when I started my own advocacy, and I was fortunate then to meet him and to be able to go to him for guidance, and to, like last year, had difficulties, so I wanted to speak to him. He was undoubtedly a soldier's soldier. He's an advocate's advocate, and he's a veteran's veteran. Right? And he's the man for us to follow and to try to emulate that be like. I made sure to have I got my Canon Connect Hebrew t-shirt on underneath. Made sure to put that up today. But it was, that's enough for me. to everybody that we've served with. Here's to you, Wolf,
Hip
to
hip.
a giant of a man.
Yes. Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hip hip.
And if you don't mind, please tap your glass on the ground for those that are no longer with us.
Here on this Remembrance Day, so many years along, I stand before your monument among the teeming throng. The last post now has ended, and the cannon's roar has gone. To the skirl of pipe and drum, I see the veterans marching on. Here's to you, the proud Canadian soldier. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, one and all. Here's to you, the proud Canadian soldier. For every new day dawning, and when evening shadows fall, the proud procession marches past, the onlookers applaud, and in succession, one by one, we smile at them and nod. Their numbers may be dwindling with each year passing on, but time cannot diminish them, nor the battles lost and won. Here's to you, the proud Canadian soldier. Soldiers,